What up, guys? Welcome to the New American Dream Podcast. I'm your host, George Gibson. All right, we're here today with a great episode. And before we get into the episode, I really want to before this episode, we discuss a lot of things in self development and making you more successful and just being the best you. And one of the things I have been practicing is focusing on my strength. So let's say my strength is real estate, but then let's go deeper, because a lot of people are good at real estate and I'm really good at real estate. But what's made me even better at real estate? Okay, I'm good at real estate, but also my gift in real estate is finding and recognizing deals. So that's what I've been focusing on, trying to get better and learn how to find better deals and different ways that just get more leads. So I want you to this week start focusing on your strength. Anything that is considered a weakness or something that you're not the best at, try to leverage it out, hire it out, get somebody else to do it, but do not try to say, hey, I'm not good at this, so let me put more focus on that. No. Focus on your strength, because when you focus on your strength and you become specific in a subject or a talent, it makes you a much more valuable person in that field. So it's called the sweet spot inside your strength. And I got it from a book I've been reading, and it's so accurate, because we oftentimes try to focus on the weakness instead of leave the weakness alone. That's not our natural talent. Focus on what your natural gifts are, and let's zoom in on that and try to become the best of the best in that specific area. All right. So today's episode, we have a guy. He has been following a multi-millionaire real estate investor for 3 years on the road shooting content. He's a professional content developer and editor. So it's going to be a great episode, and you get the view of how to be the best version of yourself. No more of me talking. Let's get into it. We have Dave Harden. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. We have Dave Harden. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's happening? I just moved to Southern California, so I've really only been in my place like 2.5, 3 weeks. And, you asked what's happening. My dining room table is taken over with all my gear, and I can't wait to move into my office space in a month. So for now, we're rocking it from the kitchen.
Okay. All right. So, all right. Let the people know who you are, who is Dave, and a little bit about what Dave do.
So I go by Dave or DaveIsMedia. Most people just know me by my Instagram handle. I have been making videos probably since I was 14, doing skate videos. I watched Jackass. That was a big inspiration for me. And then professionally, I think my first paid video gig was like back in 2007 when I was in college, and I edited some kids like high school football reel. And I said, oh, like I made $100. Like, that's pretty cool. I guess I can actually make money doing this. And since then, the only work I've had other than like odd little jobs here and there has been making videos. Graduated Santa Clara 2009 with a film degree, comm degree. And 3 weeks later, got a job in Silicon Valley running a video department. I was 23, just building it up. Did that for 5 years, moved to New York City. I worked at Madison Square Garden doing tech video for about a year, got pretty burnt out, had a really sweet office space, but corporate really burned me out. And then since 2015, 2016, I've been doing freelance. And I linked up with one of my best friends, Max Maxwell, back in 2018, helped him build his brand, which was already thriving, but we basically just threw gas on the fire in 2019. And then now him and I have a creative agency, and I'm out here in Southern California running that and then helping people with content.
Okay. So you definitely had a different route, not the typical high school, get a job and stay there. So that's what like this whole podcast is about. You basically creating a new way, for the new generation.
That's cool.
That's what New American Dream is. Because right now, if I was still on the original path, I'd be a mailman. And you wouldn't know me unless I put the wrong package at the door or something, maybe, But
well, I could use a good mailman. I tried to order the newspaper, because it's like an old school thing, but I wanted to have a physical print paper. They've delivered me one paper in 2 weeks. I have no faith in the news anymore.
Man, listen, when I tell you, well, maybe I'm in an old town, Vero Beach, Florida, so people still get newspaper here because I
Yeah,
actually started using the paper for advertisement, and people like my parents, they were like, nobody read newspaper no more, but old people do.
they do.
So
I was trying
if
to be like,
yeah,
of age.
right, but I don't read newspaper either. But yeah, that's just I never thought of that, But older people do still want the physical copy.
They do. I mean, my thinking was, look, I spend so much time looking at a screen, like I literally, there's 4 in front of me right now. It'd be nice to wake up in the morning and the first thing is to not look at my phone. I'm sure I can get all the news at my fingertips all the time, but that was not the point. I was like, look, y'all, just deliver. The most basic thing you can do is deliver me a physical paper. If you can't get that done, I've lost all trust in your organization. It's not anybody in particular's fault, but that is
Yeah.
a major systematic problem. So that's like my sidebar. I've been wanting to make a YouTube video about that, but it just sounds like complaining. So I just like kind
No,
of scrapped it.
they're gonna be like, all right, how rich are you? You made a video about a newspaper. Like that's all you're gonna have people like, all right, you're going overboard. But
yeah.
All right, going back, all right, how was your life growing up as a child? And where did you grow up at?
So I grew up in Maine, which is very, very cold in the wintertime. One of my big motivating factors for I went to school in California was let me get as far away from here, within the contiguous 48 as I can. And I just, I like the sunlight, but growing up in Maine, the summer times are beautiful. I had a really great upbringing. My parents were divorced when I was 2. So the one interesting thing that I think has helped me build character is like, I didn't know what like a family unit looked like. Like my friends had great families. I go hang out with them. But I think ever since I was like a young kid, I've been trying to figure out like, what does that look like? Like if I'm going to raise a family, if I'm going to do that, like how does that work? So splitting time between my mom's house in northern Maine and my dad's house in southern Maine. I had a younger brother. He's 2.5 years younger than me. Me and him are super tight. But during that time, we learned how to survive. We became like hyper aware. So this is a thing where I'll go anywhere, sit at a bar, I'll be out at a restaurant, I'll be at a theme park, and I can't turn off this mode in my brain that's like constantly scanning everything all the time for like threats or like potential things. Like I just can't turn it off. So it's a gift and a curse, right? Because my attention to detail is really good. So I learned that about myself. And look, I had a great childhood. I got exposed to sports. I started playing baseball when I was young, basketball. And my first camera I took on a trip to Japan where I was playing baseball at like 15. And that really kind of convinced me that I was like, okay, like I'm not getting paid, but I love documenting everything. And so from a young age, I just, I think now like, wow, I'm 35. And for over 20 years, I've been making like videos and somehow I'm still doing it and I still love it. So my childhood definitely fueled it.
Yeah, when you say you've been doing video for 20 years, like I'm like, oh my God, it didn't feel like you were even old enough to be doing video for 20 years.
I appreciate that so much.
I'm
That's
like,
such a nice compliment.
Yeah, but the crazy part is, I started doing real estate. I'll be like, I quit my job probably 4 years ago now as a mailman and do real estate full time. But like, to be honest, like between me and you, I've probably been doing real estate since I was probably like 10 years old, unknowingly with my parents. My dad owned a bunch of real estate. So I didn't know I was learning, but evidently it was getting stuck back here somewhere,
Yeah, so and then I'm sure that stuff, like nowadays, you're like, where did I get that? Oh, that's just been in here forever.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So really, I've been doing real estate probably 20 years, like kicking people out, changing locks, like literally. I'm like, man, but people wouldn't believe it, So that's that, like, because before I like even discovered like what I like to do, that was like that's like if you don't know your purpose, people be going in different directions trying to figure it out. So I was a mailman. What was you doing before you figured out you always knew it was videography?
Let's see. Well, I always knew I was one of those kids, like I was a social butterfly. So like I was an athlete in high school. So I hung out with the jocks, but I also did like drama. So I was doing like theater. So I'd hang out with those kids. And I was also a nerd. So I'd get like in computer lab. And because like at an early age, like me and my brother convinced our dad to buy a computer. So like, you need to have a computer at home. It was a Tandy. 95. We used to play these like games on it. And that was probably the last time I really played games on a computer when I was younger. Cause then we realized, oh, we could download Napster and LimeWire, and we were making CDs and making like $5-10 a piece, burning CDs. That was a huge business in middle school. And so I never really had another profession that I wanted to do, I don't think, other than do videos. Oh no, that's not true. That's not true. I started with making beats. So when I was 15, I was like, cool. Like I got one of those like MPD, like 16 pad things, plugged it into my laptop. I listened to Kanye a bunch. He was like just coming out with his first album. And so I was like, let me just make soul beats. And that was mad fun. I thought I could, make a CD and, get on and get signed and that whole thing. And I quickly realized like that is such a competitive industry. What am I good at? So I'm good at video. I'm good at filming. I'm easy to talk to. I can get people to say a lot of things to the camera. So then when I went to college, I couldn't find a college that did audio editing other than like Full Sail. But then it was like, I'm so niche. I'm like so specifically in there. I don't think that's a good idea. So I did the business school stupidly for 2 years. Midway through, I switched majors. I had to do a bunch of extra classes to catch up in the comm department. But I was like taking classes, just editing pictures and videos and realizing like I just love doing it. And so there wasn't really a profession in mind, but I'm glad I switched from the business school. That was probably the best move I ever made in business.
Right. So like when you were saying that, I'm gonna try to, if you could put yourself in this mindset, say you was working at Sam's Club, but you love doing videos, right? But you had a job. So it's a lot of people, I think, they love to do something, but they still got a job to take care of, normal life. How can you transition from, I love editing videos, but I also got 2 kids. I got this job. I'm a mechanic, but I'm really, really good at doing anything. It might not be video. It might be just what their natural gifts at. How can they go transition?
I can't really speak on the kids part. My younger brother does have 2. And I just know there's sometimes when we FaceTime, he just has to say, hey, I gotta go. I have no idea what that's like, but I can imagine that is like, you're responsible for other people's lives. So we'll put that aside for the moment. But everything else, as far as, because really it's a time management problem. Now you get tired from your job. And when I used to work a 9 to 5 and then I was salary, when you're salary, it's really hard because they want you to just work as much as you have to finish the project. They don't care if it takes you all week, if it takes you 50, 60, 70 hours. And then to do your own side hustle, you're like, I need like a physical break. I'm trying to stay in shape, which that like falls off first. And then you're like, well, if I really want to build a side business, I have to do it at night. So I see Gary Vee saying a lot, like doing the extreme, like work from 6 to like 2 a.m. And I think there's definitely been a few days over the course of like 10 years that I've done that, but I can't say consistently I've ever been able to do that. And I had, at most just a relationship, just a significant other, no, house mortgage, no kids, like none of that. I would just say for people, what you need to do is actually carve out the time each day, even if it's 20 minutes. Everybody has 20 minutes to take notes or, watch a quick YouTube. And if you can just compound that every day, it's like interest. If you're investing in something every single day, whether it be money, this is just time. And so what I did is when I was working salary, I would after work go do music videos. And like, I think my first music video, I took out my bonus, which was like $600. I bought a Canon T2i so I could have my own camera, not company property. So I could say, hey, no, I did this totally separate. Like you guys can't, flag me for anything. And I shot that music video and I said, okay, that's pretty cool. Got some friends to help me. I made like $1,000. So I almost doubled up my investment on the camera. And I would just weekends and nights were only dedicated to doing the hobby because I just loved it. It never felt like work. And so even when I was tired from working, I just knew that all my other time spent was, like you said, it was my purpose. It's still my purpose. And like, as a man, I just feel like it's important for me to like stay on that path of doing my purpose, and everything good that's come into my life has been because I've stayed on my path And I veered a little bit. Like you can go east and west a bunch. You just can't go south. You got to keep going to your true north. So you can move side to side as long as you're still kind of going north.
Yeah, I got this book, The Self-Aware Leader.
John Maxwell, nice.
Yeah. So it's just talking about when people are skiers, they're going through the woods, they focus on, all right, some people do not hit a tree, do not hit a tree, do not hit a tree. And all you do is hit trees because you focus on the trees. It said in the book, it said, but if you focus on the snow, on the path, just stay a course, you're going to stay on the path because that's what you focus on. So a lot of times, like when I read that, I'm like, dang, because a lot of times you will block yourself out by thinking something that's not even true yet. You know?
That's true. You know, to relate to that, have you seen The Last Dance documentary?
Yeah.
All right, so that one clip, I think it's in the last episode. I mean, they're doing like this contest from the sidelines where everybody's shooting a 3-pointer almost from half. And the one guy says, Michael Jordan would be thinking like, why would I think about missing a shot I haven't taken yet? That's ridiculous. Like, I haven't even taken the shot. Of course, I'm going to think I'm going to make every shot. Now let's see what happens. And then logically, you can't make every single shot, but don't go into it being like, I'm probably going to miss this. That's a terrible mindset. But man, I've been there, and I've been there a lot thinking like, all right, well, let me just hang on, or hopefully I can like do something, versus now I go into stuff like, I'm going to crush this. I'm going to get all the money I want. I'm going to get more money than I want. And it usually works out that way.
Yeah. So just like people changing their mindset, because everybody think money will change the problem, but really that's just a shift in the way you're thinking,
and it'll give you more, more money, more problems. You may be able to handle the old problems better, but now you have a new set of problems that you got to deal with. So yeah, it's cool you made money, but then you're playing this unending game of like, I fixed that set of problems. Now I have a new set of problems. Now I got to make more money to solve these problems. So you want to find a sweet spot. Like what I'm working on in my business is, how can I stay lean? Like I'm trying to hire one more person, not a bunch, just one person to do admin and all the stuff that I absolutely hate doing. So I can really focus on stuff like this, being on camera, filming other people, and editing. I really don't want to spend any time doing any of my other business stuff. Because if I keep adding more people, then I have more problems. I have to go make more money. So I'm trying to find a sweet spot in my active business to where I don't have to hire too many people. And then I can start making investments in things that will pay me, quote unquote, passively, right? Versus my active business, which is filming and editing.
So when I hear you say that, the main thing I come to mind when you say that is, don't just hire. The main key is don't hire nobody unless it's the right person, because the wrong person on board would take you back. So
they will.
Keep going how you going. But when you find the right person, and you'll know if it's the right person not real quick. So like me, for instance, I'll have like real close people to me working for me, knowing they're not really on the same page. We're not, going on the same rate. So then you have to get them off quick, or it's gonna mess up everything, the way the ship is going,
Yeah, you got to fire fast. I've hired a few people in my day at like a corporate company, and yeah, I've definitely recognized a few I would hire knowing they're going to last a couple weeks, but I need to get this project done. I just know they're probably not cut out for this long term, but in the moment, that was my best option. And then I let them go. And it's usually like, we both understand this. People, you have different goals, but yeah, I don't know. Hiring nowadays, I tell you what.
Well, it's super tough. Hard. Even for real estate, as you can see, like getting electricians, plumbers, I look at that the same way as hiring an assistant, because when I first started, I used to hire like the dude to ride the bike to the yard, to cut the grass, pulling a lawn in the back. That's the person I used to hire. And that worked out. It was $20. He left a lot of grass. He didn't show up every week. It's perfect for me. I didn't have much money to pay anyway. But now that I'm on this trajectory, you gotta hire people who can just get a mail-in check. I don't have to go there, and check on. That's gonna make. I realized that like the people you hire say a lot about you.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and I think for me at first it was letting go of control, and I'm gonna always have that issue because I have a high standard for my quality, but it's really shifted now to I have a higher standard quality of my ideas And I'm cool with the execution not being as high as I want it to be, as long as I can convey the idea. And that's been because I've been watching all this Mr. Beast content, and basically his, he's like the most viral YouTuber there is. It's like him and PewDiePie. And his whole thing is like, look, I spent all this money on these videos, but it's because the idea is great. If my idea is the best idea, or it's a really good idea, and maybe your idea is close, you execute way better than me, but my idea is just superior. Like, people are going to watch my video more than yours. I don't have to have the polish if I have like the actual like thought-provoking thing that people want to watch.
That's kind of like a need. Like, if I got water, but you got soda, I got the need.
Exactly.
I guess that is kind of interesting. Think about that. Okay, so all right, you a video editor. What separates you from the average video editor? What's like, all right, we know Dave, he did this video. What separates you from the little boys or the play people? Let you know, like, you the real person, video editor.
It's actually the boring stuff. So I'm fast. I'll get to your project quickly, and I will get it done quickly. Again, it won't be the absolute best perfect quality, but I'm going to deliver faster than anybody else. I'm going to also communicate. The big thing is that actually, as you know, it's all about people. All businesses are about people. It's not about the actual thing you're doing, but how well can I communicate to my client and how often, and keep them at ease, right? And so if we have the same expectation of a due date and of what the quality is going to be, I just set my expectation really well and say, look, this is the kind of product you're going to get. I'm not going to give you a $50,000 budget because we have $1,000. So don't expect something that looks like amazing, like a Hype Williams music video, because we both know your budget and who I am. So once we have that conversation, everything goes super smoothly.
Oh, so are you saying you can do a $50,000 video, but it's because really it only takes time, right? You don't like buy extra materials.
It's time and people. It's mostly people. It's not so much the time. You just need, think about it. If you have all these props, all these sets, all these ideas you want to execute, all these shots, you got to move the camera every time there's a new shot. You're going to have lighting. So you need people to move the lights. So you're going to have to hire like 10 times the people versus somebody comes to me like, hey, I just want you and I have $1,000 and I want to make this kind of video. And I say, that's cool, but we're about to do the light trial version because, again, you told me you have one person, which is me, and you only have $1,000. Not a lot I can do with that, especially when you need to pay me a fee. So here's what I do now, because I am not a fan of doing music videos. I did them to get paid because it was a necessary evil, and I will never go back ever again. I just quote people and say, my fee is 50 grand. I don't know how much you want to spend on your video, but to get me to do it, you have to pay me 50 and then whatever you want to spend on your video. And usually everybody's like, that's so much. I go, exactly. If you had it, I'm happy to help. I know you don't have it, and that's why I quoted you at 50,000 for my personal fee.
Wait, so you're running potential $30,000 people away?
Yeah, but here's the point. I don't actually want to do it. Just because I can doesn't mean I should. I'm very capable. I actually have now that I'm in LA, it's even easier because I will call up my friend Keone and I'll be like, hey, dude, I know you're real good on the camera. I'm going to run point, but I trust you and your whole team, which you already have. So one phone call, that's my value to this person.
Value. Okay.
I can make that phone call. I have a personal relationship with this guy, like friends and business, or like there's a few other people I could do that with. So I don't want the headache of all the extra people on a music video set. I'm like, why are you here? What are you doing? Like, you have no purpose. It would be like if your site, your contractor construction site was just filled with a bunch of extra people not working. You're like, all right, well, here's all my liabilities. Like, this guy's going to fall and break his leg, and somebody's going to get shot with the nail gun. And like, this is bad. There's too many people here, and too many of them are not getting paid. So with a music video, you get all the extra people that they just want to be in the video. I get it. It's cool, whatever. So I just price people out because it's something I don't want to do. But if you give me 50,000, I will definitely make it happen.
So if you could pick, what are you doing every day?
So if I could
wait, no, let me rephrase that first because I want to go deeper. If you was a billionaire, what would you do every day?
If I was a billionaire, I would, man.
Would you still do videos?
Oh yeah, I think they would just be so different. I would be documenting my day, and I would have like one or two people. I would have a photographer and a videographer. I would have a photographer, and we would have like some planned stuff, but most of it would just be candids. I'd be like, look, come by at like, don't hang all day. Maybe there's some days it's busy. So, hey, this is like a busy day for me. I really want everything captured. If it's just a day where nothing's really happening, hey, just come by at lunch, snap a couple photos, take off. Videographer, I'm mic'd up all day. Cause I think my thinking is if I'm a billionaire, people are going to be very interested in how I got there. I mean, it's kind of like you and me talking because you're interested in like how I got where I'm at. And that's kind of the format of the show.
Right.
So, you know, when I become a billionaire, I'll definitely be mic'd up as many days as possible without me like it driving me crazy, because you never know when you're going to talk to somebody or say something that is of value. And it's the whole thought process of like document and don't create. Let somebody else create it later, or you can create it later. But I'd be doing the same exact thing. I think I'd just be doing less client facing stuff.
Yeah, you know, the one thing I like when I watch, all right, you had to watch this. You was on Earth, Tiger King, the documentary.
Yeah. I've actually only seen the trailer. I still haven't watched that.
Man, that's like one of the best documentaries. Like before the Kanye West thing came out, like, cause he said this: never stop, never turn the camera off, never turn the camera off.
Always be rolling, always rolling.
That's crazy. I never heard. So when he said that, I kind of took that under my little YouTube, you know, thinking for a minute, and it was crazy the things you were starting to capture. And I forget I even captured it until I started editing. I'm like, oh, that was crazy, you know?
And you're so happy, right, that you did.
Yeah. But it's hard for me to do it without like, it's way better stuff happening when the camera's off, because a lot of times when I actually get tense or like in a good situation, I can't do the camera. Yeah.
You're focused on the thing.
Yeah.
And that's where that's why having a person, like if you can afford it, have somebody film you as much as possible. Just do it. I mean, working with Max, my friend Max Maxwell, like that's what I would do. I would roll with him. Now we had the trust, right? Because we're already friends. And then I trained this guy, Matt, for the past like 4 years. And now Matt does what I used to do with Max all day. So it was a trust thing, but it was also just like he's mic'd up from the moment that you meet up in the morning throughout the day, same as Gary Vee, and he'll say something. And what you're doing as a videographer is sitting there like, okay, that was pretty good. Let me kind of remember where this timestamp is, so it's faster for me to go back, and I'm going to grab that clip and pull it out because that was the best clip. And I'll put the whole day together, but I just want to get that fire clip out.
So you have a lot of more content than the average person. So the more content to choose from, the easier it is, but it's also the more time consuming it is.
So it's so time consuming. And that's a whole different style of making content. And I think you can do that, and you can do planned, like for you, it'd be like, we're going to walk this house and I'm going to explain to you why we actually had to spend like $50,000 extra because I missed this. Right. So you have like the planned things that are going to hook people into learning or what it's like, you know, most of YouTube's infotainment. It's really like or edutainment, I should say. Same thing. Educating people, entertaining them at the same time. But, you know, my subscribers, I'm trying to figure out what they want. I think what they want is for me to teach them how I do what I do, which I've just always hesitated. But the more I get invited to do things like this and the more people want to talk to me, I just say, well, it's like a vocation thing. Like I'm supposed to do that. So let me just do that for a while.
Well, I think the one thing people are interested in now is what we forget. We think they interested in the content, but actually when you video and Max Maxwell, now it's like they're interested in your life. You know what I mean? To be honest,
that's very true. So it's the extra layer. Yeah. Like, what are you doing? And that, to your point, when you brought up the Kanye doc, I've watched all those episodes multiple times. Like, what an interesting perspective for us to now get, and for Netflix to say to the tune of $30 million. It's $30 million interesting. So that proves your point right there.
Yeah, that was like one of the best documentaries came out in a while. So like, how can a person like you are in the room with some big meetings, some big boys, and like, what are some things people can learn from you just like how to scale up business. Like how can people go from buying, 2-3 houses a year to buying 20 or 30 houses a year? What's the difference to separate people?
I think it's what I saw with Max for sure was his like crazy obsession with, he found one thing he got really good at, finding leads, and he just like only did that until he dried up the whole well. And here's the thing, the well doesn't dry up because there's probate, like people die every day, people get divorced every day, like life happens to people every day. So if you find one thing, or tax liens, or like, I don't know what it is, but if there's one specific category, just keep doing that as much as you can. Now, then once you're tapped out, you're like, okay, I need to not spend all my time finding leads. I'm going to hand that off to some VAs so they can help me find leads and just give me the best ones. Okay, now I don't want to call anymore. Let me find somebody else to call. I got to probably train them up, but that's okay because I've done this thousands or hundreds of times and I have the muscle built in so I can. Because most people are like, oh, I'm just going to get VAs and I'm going to get dialers. I'm like, you don't even know how to do the business yet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, everybody, listen to me on this. I don't do real estate and I know how to do all this stuff. I know all these things because I was sitting there paying attention. So you have to put it in the hours because it translates just to video. I couldn't hire editors if I didn't know how to edit. That'd be ridiculous, right? Here's the thing. Max knows how to edit. He did his first couple videos. Like he knows, at least to the point where he knows enough to say, this is not worth my time. Can I do it? Yeah, but that's not the point. I should not be doing this thing in my business. But, back to your question about the houses, you just got to do it yourself. And then once you can fire yourself and get more people on, especially the lead capture, I felt was the most important, because then you bring the leads back in and you can still be the closer. And you can still have a very lean business with, like, let's just say you had one VA and one person calling, and then you were also doing some stuff in calling, but really marketing yourself as the person and then closing the deals. I think that's not a bad business model.
Yeah. So from taking that, most people look on Zillow or look on Realtor, like most beginner investors. So just from anybody just hearing that, you need to find other ways to get leads. And even like, all right, now, like, see, like you just said, doing videos of Max, because he found this spot. Everybody got to find their sweet spot. Everybody has their own advantage of finding leads. Some people like tax liens. Like my way of how I found most of my properties is just telling people what I do. So they'll be like, oh, my sister, brother, auntie, they trying to sell this house. I'm like, all right, where they at? We going there.
Yeah, how much time you got? Let's go.
Yeah, so, but like, that's just my way, because the people see, oh, such and such buy houses or whatever. I figured out that was my, and a lot of African-American people, older people, they'd rather give it to somebody like me. And that was a couple cases. So I was like, everybody got to use their advantage. Everybody got to find their advantage. And then that's where you like put your energy at, I
totally agree. That's why personal brand is so important. And people think you got to be some big brand. Like, you don't. You can just be the best brand, hyper local to where you're investing. So if you make friends with all your neighbors, they know what you do is buy houses. When the time comes, you planted the seed. You can actually forget about even asking, just maintain the friendship, actually be friends. And when the time comes, you'll be like, oh, that's right, we talked about that. Cool, I'll totally buy your property. Like my friends around here now, I'm already asking, I'm getting a lay of the land. Like, hey, how much is stuff going for? Like, I found like a package of houses that now I'm like cool with the person that owns them. And now we have a dialogue. So when the time comes, in the meantime, I can stack up money so I'm ready, or get the private money set up. And then I control the properties. Like, and again, I've never done a deal before, but I know how to structure it outside of all the fine details. And the structure is just, like you said, it's just in relationships with people. If you can do that, you're going to be way ahead of the game.
I can't believe you haven't done a deal yet and you be around that. You would think you would like low key have like 100 houses over there in Alabama somewhere.
Yeah, I know. And there's days when I'm like, man, I should do that. But then at the same time, I wouldn't have built all these organic friendships and relationships to where the timing for me is probably going to is coming soon, versus if I had tried to be like, all right, Max, just show me how to do what you do and let's do it together. That would take away too much time from me crafting all the videos. Right. So there is a sacrifice always. You can't do everything all at once, but it's like for athletes got to be the best at their sport. Then once they retire, you know, nowadays they can, you know, they got money to make investments. So really that's where I see myself is, let me earn some money or locate some people that I can get properties from and let you guys do what you do and say, hey, how do I control this deal? How do you get this in my name? Like, you guys show me how to do it, because I already recognize what I want. I've identified a property and I hand it off to the professionals. Like, professionals, y'all hand this off to me. I'm good at what I do. And that's, you know, it's trust.
Me too. So that's why I said earlier, because I feel like the world right now is like, it's a lot of people that are on edge. And the reason they're on edge is because they're doing something that is not their true identity purpose. So a lot of times, like, you ever went to order some food and they just be slopping the food together, like, boom. I'm like, oh man. I'm like, yeah. And I asked the person one time, I'm like, hey, what you do? He was like, oh, I work here. I'm like, no, what do you do outside of here? Oh, I'm good with computers. I'm like, why are you here at Subway? He's stuck. I'm like,
tough.
go build computers. I don't like, because if I have a Johnny on computers, I have this person over here and they all doing what they love, everybody will be pretty much, even if they're not all millionaires, they'll be a lot more happier. And like the biggest question people always ask me is, George, do you make more money, you know, when you was at the post office or now? Like when I first quit. So my thing was, I was making less money for a while after I quit, but I was happier because I was doing, like, I had a challenge, a reason to wake up, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you had that extra time where you're like, okay, the toughest thing is, great, I got all the time I want. And then you're like, oh my God, I have all the time I want. This is too much. This is overwhelming. You say, oh, I have to build the structure for myself. So you can take that two ways. You can get ambitious, have a reason to get up and go get after it and take action that's imperfect and just like try as much stuff as you can until you have a good system. Or you can get overwhelmed by the idea that you have all this time and like not really do anything and just kind of BS through life and tell people, yeah, I kind of do this, I do that. And it's at first when I went freelancing, you know, I made like 26,000 one year. And I was super happy. I wanted to make more money. And I was like, I don't want to do this forever. But I also said, my lifestyle is pretty great. I've been getting to travel on other people's dime to go shoot content. I've been traveling the world. Well, at that time, just the country. But at that salary, people say, how do you travel? And I'd say, well, because I have jobs and relationships that send me different places. So yeah, you really do just got to love what you do. It's not easy though. If you're at Subway and you lack ambition, you can't have both. You can't complain, but then also go home and not work on something. So you got to be like, all right, well, this is my lot right now. If I don't want this lot in life, I got to go do something else. And, you know, I think there's a lot of people out there that like being employees of, like, I do IT. I love what I do. And I have a separation to where when I go home, I don't have to worry about my boss.
So if you could live anywhere for the rest of your life, where would it be?
If I could live anywhere, I'm really getting used to Orange County. I do love it here. Everything's walking distance. The weather is like sunny and mild every day, which is great.
Right.
But I think it would be tempting to live in like a Hawaii or like on an island. I mean, I do love the hustle and bustle. Like living in New York City was amazing. I would definitely live there again. And most people don't like New York because it's, you know, it's pretty dirty and people are blunt. But I like people who are blunt because then I don't have to guess what you're thinking. And I don't really mind that it's dirty because it's a big city. There's a lot of people there. It's just some character to it. So it's both ends of the spectrum, a really busy place or a really peaceful, serene place.
I've never been to New York, and that's why I haven't been, because
That's wild.
That's wild.
That's wild. They have the best pizza in the world, in my opinion.
Hey, that's crazy. I never, like, that was never my dream. Like, I want to go to New York. I want to go to New York, but I'm from the country, like real small town, North Carolina. So where I'm at in Florida, this is the city, you know. So going to New York, that's like going to Africa for me. But I need to go to New York real soon, you know.
Africa's cool. You should go there too.
Yeah. So what's one thing you can't live without? Like right now, like every day, this is really useful to your life.
Like a thing, or what can I not
Yeah,
live
just
without?
like not a cell phone though, but like say you got a house cleaner or you got like a uh
Oh,
something that you can't live without it.
I would have to say my electric water. What is that? It's like an electric kettle. So if you don't want to use gas on the stove to make like tea and coffee, like I need that hot water
Okay.
like on demand. So let's say like your stove's busted. Well, hopefully the electricity's good, right? So
Yeah,
coffee and tea, I need that.
need that. Okay, okay. All right. This like just on a personal, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your mental, physical, and financial? Like right now, as far as your mental, like 0, you want to commit suicide. A 10, like I'm getting sleep, I'm drinking gallons of water. What's on a scale of 1 to 10? What's your mental, physical, and financial?
I would say my financial is probably at like a 4 or 5, because I'm restructuring, building my business. So I'm investing a lot of money into my belief and what I think is going to work. I don't exactly
Right.
have a bunch saved. So I'm like, okay, like we're pushing through this bottleneck. But like mentally and physically, I like a 9 or a 10, both. I haven't like felt better in my life. I'm 35 and I'm in the best shape I've ever been in, probably since I was like in college. And then yeah, mentally, like my mindset has shifted totally over the past 3 or 4 years. Like 4 years ago, I was sleeping on my buddy's couch in Nashville, and I was paying him to sleep on his couch so I could get my video business booming in Nashville, spending all my money on my studio, and like basically it was a wash. And that's kind of when, Max came in the picture and we reconnected. We'd been friends before that, but he like just kind of sparked my interest in like what he was doing, and I was trying to figure out how could I add value to his situation, and it was with my skills with video. And then you just absorb so much hanging out with somebody like that and listening and having conversations that aren't on camera and traveling the world with somebody, like one of your friends. And so now mentally I'm in such a great place. Like I wake up every day, I just thank God that I got up out of bed. After that, I'm in a good mood all day. Like I got another day. That's it. It's
Right.
pretty basic for me.
That's good. That's good. So you like a 9 to 10, mental and physical. A lot of things right now. Like for me right now, I would say mental, I'm probably at like a 7.5. But the only reason I say that is because it's good, but I'm starting like my business is kind of growing faster than me. I
Mm.
can say. I don't know.
So
You know what I
so
mean?
it's
So
stressing
it's
you out
like,
a little bit.
yeah, it's like, man, I wasn't prepared for this, you know?
You're never ready. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
learned that moving out here. Like, everything's so expensive. And I'm never ready, but that's not the point. You're not supposed to be ready. Just do it.
Yeah. So that's why I feel like I started something and it's like I ain't even got there yet, but that's how I feel mental. But then physical, probably like 6. That's the hardest part to find time to work out. I got a little son, so the goal is to get up at like 5 or 6 o'clock. And I've been on the road traveling for the last 3 weeks, so that's been like crazy.
The
But and
road
then
will ruin it. The road, man. There's like the
not
food
like the road, like
options are not good. Yeah.
yeah,
But the
you
food
be on
options are
plane.
not always good. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like airports are tough, but even just the roadside, you're like, I don't have a lot of time. So
Yeah,
what's fast? Well, not food that's not good for you.
right. So and then financial, I would say probably like a 8 because like you know what I did 2021 my resolution. I was like I'm not going to try to carry anything into 2022. Like you know how like right now what's the next
Mm.
big thing you need to do? Like you know you need to do this, but you like I'm gonna do it next month. I'm gonna do it next month, next week. What's that one thing?
The one thing I need to do
You
is
that's kind of big.
it's setting up a supply chain for my new business. I've actually been working on it literally this morning, but I need to like work on it more every day, not just here and there.
So that's how I was feeling about something like December. The whole year I kept putting it off, and then I was like January, I'm gonna I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? So ever since I did that one thing, it was like, all right, everything now is better because you know you put off stuff, but that's the most important thing. Like you just said, that's what you need to do. So
I
give
love
yourself
that.
like this.
No
Yeah, like
carryover. That's the line right there.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
don't
yeah.
let stuff
That's
carry over.
yes. I need to mark that, like you said earlier. See, I'm learning. Like we gotta remember that part, right? But
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
don't carry stuff over. And I carry stuff over for a long time because I'm like, all right, like one thing you probably carrying over, which my cousin told me I'm carrying over, but like, what's the name of the book you gonna write?
Oh, I have it written down. And I've actually recorded it on audio. I just have to transcribe, and I'm like at the
See,
50-yard line.
I
It's
already knew you did.
it's 10 the working title is 10 ways to work for a millionaire and become one in the
Ooh.
process.
Well, you gotta shorten that.
Right. So that's like the long one, right? Because
Yeah,
I'm like, that's everything I want to say. And it's
but you
all
gotta
based.
shorten it. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Nah.
gotta make it way more catchy. But it's based on, like you said, I'm in the room with all these big players, and I'm literally like next to Max every single day. I learned a lot about how he moves, and the way he moves around is the habits that made him successful. So I want to share my perspective on learning and applying those to my life and business, and how other people can also do that if they're in my position and say, I'm close to the sun. I used to always say that. I'm like, people around him used to fly too close to the sun. You try to be somebody else, is when you mess up and you get burned. You got to be yourself. So the whole point of the Alphas Only clothing line is, I want to work with alphas only, people who are comfortable in their own lane, doing their own thing, but we can help each other. I'm not trying to be you. You're not trying to be me, but we're trying to help each other both succeed. So that was the point of Alphas Only. But yeah, I think it's a Greek mythology thing, but like Icarus flew too close to the sun. He got burnt up.
Nice.
Can't do it, man.
Nah, that's real talk. Like, cause like I got houses, at different partnerships, and that kind of work. Cause like people be like, some people don't want to do partnerships, but to me, like if you got a strong partner, when problems come up, it's less stressful because you got two powerful brains that can usually solve it. But if you just have one person, it's all on you, it can become a lot.
Plus, you're immediately thinking, oh, this is great. I don't have to handle this by myself. So off the bat, you're at ease. You don't even think about the solution. You just go, I know we're going to figure it out because we are going to figure it out, not me.
Yeah. Yes. And that's the benefit of partnerships. If people, get a strong alpha partner, though. Don't get an alpha and a beta. If you got two solid partners, it's like, that's the best of both worlds.
Yep. I totally agree with that. Totally.
Okay. But yeah, see, I knew you was writing a book. So that's why I was like, it's certain things you need to do. Like, I be buying books all the time. My cousin's like, man, you need to start writing your own book. And I'm like, I don't feel like writing. I need somebody to write it for me.
But you're right. Well, and I don't know if people buy into the whole astrology sign, but for me, the one thing that is true about being a Taurus is I'm really stubborn. So if somebody tells me what to do, my first reaction is to not do it just because they told me to, even if it's the right thing. So I've been working on myself, being self-aware, saying, all right, that's just your gut, your knee-jerk reaction. Like, you need to take into account, is this a good thing to do? And then if you do it because they told you to, you should say, hey, thanks for pushing me to do that. I needed that push.
I'm going to tell you this. I get my best business advice from the less appointed people. So a lot of times people are listen to the president talk, the manager talk, supervisor talk. I have, like, for some reason, I was always raised around, like, I don't know what you call them. Like, they wise men, but they might not have the best. Like, one dude, he went to college, but he got drafted by the military. And then once he got out the military, never went to college. So you smart, so you got wisdom, but you just fell in the wrong lane,
Yeah.
So, yeah, that advice, because sometimes I be trying to figure out different business moves, and I go to YouTube or the professional way to do it, and it don't work. Then you got this person over here, he give you one little look, like this morning, like today's my birthday, right? And
happy birthday, man. Working on your birthday. I love it.
Hey, look, and I got the lady.
Hey, cheers. Let's go.
Yeah. But my grandma said, don't let the right hand know what the left hand doing. So I hung up the phone. I asked my wife, I'm like, what's she talking about? You know what I mean? But I'm telling you, it means something. You know what I mean?
Right. And it sits with you. And in the moment you need it, it comes to your mind and you say, that's why they said that to me.
Yeah, and if she's not no professional, she's my grandma, but she's not like famous or like wealthy and thing. But she said that, so I'm like, sometimes you gotta listen to them little voices that be telling you stuff because, like you said, you might just kick it off because they're homeless or whatever. And but
Sure.
it like sometimes to me, God speaks through people,
Right.
so you never know who it's gonna come through, or it come
Right.
through the radio or the TV. You know, you just got to be mental attend and aware
You got to
that
be
them
paying
voices.
attention to the signs. Yeah.
Yeah,
And consider like, all right, was that a sign? And then say, okay, if it was, what is it telling me? Because you might be trying to justify everything you see to be telling you what you want it to tell you. Like you've been wanting to go in a direction, or you've been wanting to date somebody, or you've been wanting to hire a person, or you've been wanting to buy something. And so you can misconstrue those signs just to justify your decision. So you got to really
well,
say, all right,
if you
what's the
if
honesty?
if you really think about it too deep, yeah, you go like if I'm thinking about getting a Ford truck and this guy got one for sale, it was
Right.
like, all right, but I'm like you have to be. That's why I say like the first thing I do, like you know that conference that we say we met each other at,
Yeah,
the
in West Palm
West
Beach.
Palm Beach.
Yep.
You know that was the first morning I prayed for like 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was some at church said do it because I like everybody like 24 hours in a day. So what's 10 minutes? But I tell people to do it now, and they like, man, I ain't got 10 minutes to pray. And it's like, all right. But I prayed that morning, and at that event, that was my first time ever going to an event. Ben Mallard, first he walked up to me, talked to me, and hired me all on that day.
Dang, what? That's a
Yes,
lot.
the event speaker. Yes, I was
Yeah.
working for him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yo, that's so cool.
that's crazy, right? So that's
Yeah,
why I
that is
say,
crazy.
yeah, and my first time ever doing it. So it was like sometimes you just got to be like in tune, aware, you know, just slow down. Like I think a lot of distraction is what caused you to miss the signs though, because some people work 56 hours a week, they miss all the signs.
Of course.
You,
And it's
you
like you
know,
said, if you're doing something you don't want to be doing, or it's not like your life purpose, then yeah, you're going to miss most of them. But if you're living in your purpose and doing what you're supposed to do all the time, that stuff just comes into your life and you don't miss it because you're very aware of what you're doing.
exactly, man. All right, these like the final questions. First thing that come to your mind: if you could spend a day with a mentor, who would it be? Anybody in the world?
Anybody in the world. Wow. Um, well, living, I would have to say probably Timberland, because I'm
Yep.
so curious as to like his production. You know, I read a story or no, in his book about how he produced Pony for Genuine, and he was at some guy's house living there, basically having to make beats for this other dude. And he like left the place, couldn't take any of his equipment, and he recreated that beat after he left from scratch. And that's what we hear on the radio today. And it's, you know, Pony is like a classic R&B jam.
That's
So
that's
I'd
wild.
love to sit with him and just pick his brain about like, what is your, how do you get into this flow state? What's your process? Like he has a master class, which I watched, but you know, it's different like face to face. So it's gonna have to be Timberland.
That's the first Timberland because I wonder, like sometimes I wonder how much of that can they teach, or how much of that is a gift.
It's,
You know?
and the things I already know is a lot of it's a gift because of the reps. It's like same with people that hang with me. I'm mentoring a couple guys now out of Columbus, and you know, they're 23, 24. I'm like, you guys just got so much to learn, and it's all going to come from experience. And so I think like most of, like you can't give somebody like an hour and change their whole life. It might be a spark that leads to change their whole life, but it is not the event that will definitely change their whole life.
Got it. What's your spiritual animal? Like animal that you say recognize with your personality.
Probably what's the most stubborn animal? probably a lion. Because a lot of times I just want to be mad lazy and not do anything, but when it's really important, I spend all my energy on that thing.
Got it. Okay. A lot of people say lion because of aggression, but at the same time, like you said, laid back. I can see it. So if you really want something, you probably don't get it.
I'm persistent. I'm like, Yeah, man. I'm persistent with everything. Now, I may not go at it, quote unquote, as like you may see in the media aggressively. I am aggressive, but
Right.
I have my own way of going about it. Because sometimes you got to lay in wait. You got to lay in the weeds and just wait.
Smart. A book you read that you think, well, not think, a book that you have read that helped you be more successful.
I'm on my second read. I'm going through it right now. 48
Oh.
Laws. I do one law a day, and this is the first time I've been like marking it up with highlights. But that book is phenomenal. The Art of Seduction, that's phenomenal. I mean, that's a whole like different thing, but the 48 Laws of Power teach you that like you could literally manipulate anyone. That's a lot of responsibility and not necessarily what you should do by any means, but it teaches you some principles that will help you. Let's say if you're a little weak-minded in areas or weak-willed, you don't feel as assertive. That book will help you be more assertive and like stand up for what you believe in and for what you want to get. And you don't have to be an asshole and you don't have to be overly aggressive to get what you want.
Yeah, it was crazy because one of my homeboys, he told me about that book. He was like, I think he said he was reading it too. And I said, man, that's the, I don't know what kind of book I called it, but I felt like it's brainwashing. It's like a trickster book. That's
Okay,
what I felt like.
What's interesting is, don't we all need our brain washed every once in a while? You got to wash it from all the programming from schooling, programming from the media. But I get what you're saying, because a lot of it talks about basically the charlatans of like people selling snake oils. Like, this is going to change your whole life. You just need this vial of whatever this is called. And people would pay super money. And the person would like go from town to town, and none of it really worked. You just like mentally convinced someone that it was saving your life.
Right. Man, yeah. So I never read that book. I might have to listen to the audio because it seems like it's really long.
It is really long.
I read all the each 48 laws, and I'm like, then I start rationalizing it with my supervisor and stuff when I had a job. I'm like, did they read this book? Because it's some trickery,
Yeah, because once you're enlightened, you realize, wow, people have been manipulating me all the time, whether they realize it or not.
Exactly. So what are your hobbies outside of, video editing? What do you do? Do you have a life outside of this?
I do. Yeah. I like playing golf, going to the driving range. Let's see, playing basketball. I love playing basketball, still do to this day. Although I played last week with my friend Austin and all these like 20 somethings, and I was so sore the next day. We were running 5-on-5. I ran 4 games within the span of 2 hours, and all my muscles were not feeling it. But I love basketball. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. So if I come to Cali or I'm in Florida,
let's go. Either way.
We play every Sunday.
That's dope. I miss that, having that group of guys. I think I found a group I'm gonna try out, but I'm in that phase where I'm like trying to find my place with the pickup gang.
Right. Yeah, we just we play just for like to stay in shape, because everybody like, man, I gotta go to work Monday. So.
Same. I'm not trying to hurt anybody, not trying to send anybody to the hospital. Like I'm playing sometimes 3-point line to 3-point line, but if it's all smalls, and like I forget, if I'm not playing pickup with like the best of the best, I'm usually a tall guy. I'm only 6'2", and I'm like barely 6'2", but like playing out there, I was a big, and I'm used to playing like a shooting guard.
Oh, gotcha.
So I changed my whole game.
All right. So the old American dream is, you work a job 30, 40 years. Your parents have a whole bunch of pictures of you celebrating your life. Then you wait and retire to start enjoying life. What is your version of the new American dream for your life?
Well, I'm working on it right now, and I'm trying to fit my work into my day versus fitting my day into my work. And what that means is I used to think, all right, I have to work this arbitrary amount of hours just because that is how I will be successful, which is not necessarily true. Now I just say, how am I going to maximize my day so I'm the most, productive and happy, which might mean only 3 hours of work. It might mean 12 hours of work. So each day I'm kind of analyzing, how do I make this like the most full day? If I don't wake up tomorrow, how do I make this the best day? So that's kind of where mentally I've been going. And, making my lifestyle be my business. It's one and the same. Life and business are joined. There really isn't a lot of separation, and I'm okay with that. Because lifestyle branding is how I make money, and I kind of love that. So that's my new American dream, is having a lifestyle that pays me.
Yeah, and that's kind of funny because like I took my family to Tennessee like 3 weeks ago, and my mom, she was like, "You ain't been back to work since we got back," and I'm like, "It's a lifestyle, like you said. Now I'm working, but
always working.
Yeah, I'm always working. That's the crazy part. I'm working now. I'm working.
Exactly.
I'm at the same
And
time.
people would say, "Oh, like that's cool, you're on a podcast." I go, "It is cool because this is actually work for me, because I know how I'm gonna already chop all this up so people can see I was on your show." And
right,
we boost each other. So
yeah,
people think, "Oh, that's cool. That's like an easy day." I'm like, it's enjoyable, but it's not easy to make sure I have enough energy. I don't want to come in here and be like boring and not have any like good thoughts and not engaging, because that's no fun.
After a podcast, I literally have to go like, it takes a lot of energy for me to do podcasts now for some reason. I don't know. But it's like I gotta focus. You know what I mean?
I do know it's a lot. I'm a very introverted person,
me
and
too.
I can tell I've learned to exercise my extroverted muscle to be more, I don't know, just engaging and be uncomfortable. And I know that that is like, it's just more appealing that way. So it's something I'm constantly working on.
Yes. So, all right, let the people know if they want to reach out to Dave, get a video shoot for $50,000. How can they find you?
All right, seriously though, don't send me any music video requests. I'm probably gonna decline them. At DaveIsMedia on Instagram. I also have a content course for people that want to work on building their personal brand. It's the ceocontentblueprint.com/get started. You can get started with me. It's $500, one-time fee. I'm adding to it all the time. I'm going to be coming out with a videographer content blueprint. So specifically just for people who are learning how to shoot and edit for someone else, versus that one is for, people like yourself that are like, I want to build my brand. How do I get those creative people around me? It definitely benefited these videographers so much to the point that they were like, Dave, mentor us. We actually learned a lot from your first course. So now I'm developing a course with these new videographers, so they can get paid. They're going to learn from me. It's like a big win for them.
Yeah, I can already tell. Like, that was one thing I used to be scared about, charging people for my helping them with real estate. And like, even a couple weeks ago, a couple guys that I helped, they buying houses. So I'm like, oh crap, it really worked.
It worked. So, just has to work one time for you to have confidence.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure myself whether I could charge somebody to teach them about real estate, but I can already trust you. If they sign up, it's pretty much like it's just on them to do it.
Well, and that's with anything, right? It only works if you do.
Right. All right. Thanks for coming on the show, man. Appreciate it. I will get you on the basketball courts real soon.
Let's go. I'm ready. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.